Speaking to the topic of the cops raised out of Azerbaijan, the Shiites, studying the code of Kurdistan, Muhammad, combined with the Persians, Azerbaijan, one can understand the tax burden of the poor, supported by the rich. Being rich is no amenity, it's an extra responsibility given to somebody who betrays as a cop informant. You are vested in the power of Broadway and Glee. And of course, the concept of government, insurance to infrastructure, the public sector. Everything else is private. You can have it upon order. Osama bin Laden was a Kurd and a Hittite, Moses' line, but he was also a Jew. The practice of Judaism, the eye socks allergy, prohibited from a cop. Hence we have Escape from New York. The film, John Carpenter never writing a fiction. Never. 9/11. And he died as a cop, prefers to die with his wife. Me, you have a Kurd and a Peak, the House of Tudor, a spy, but you see my native skull. Illegal for a spy, an insurance auditor, a Hollywood, film and theater, perhaps to you espionage, the defense of the state in counterintelligence, not defense of tradition, the false lie of the York we have rebuked. For tradition must move onwards, hence the fall of the house of Rochendem. To our force usher, two pillars, cop and spy. John Carpenter has written Escape from New York for Osama bin Laden and Escape from LA for me. Back in the 1970s, Osama bin Laden, and in the 1980s, of course, was a consultant upon finance production of Saudi estates as a cop, specializing in the refusal of homosexuality and breeding, an essential cop function, mocked by George W. Bush, a Tay-Sachs, a Jew, as was Osama bin Laden, and Jimmy Carter, the man, the Treasury accountant that assigned him, blown away, refused despite being president, and John D. Perkins, a Mossad, given leeway under Boston rights of provision, now illegal under the arc of Whitey Bulger being a Mossad accused of being a gangster. My late mother's work. A native or Latino cannot be a spy. They are a spick, a deliberate term for a guerrilla that performs one action then goes under. Native Antilles or Latino or Spain or Portugal, an Arab. You can call me David Charlebois, and my presidency is AOC, Cortez. My informant within the espionage corps, the espionage corps of spies, insurance, Hollywood, film and theater, Will Morgan Jr., and the Mossad being Jeffrey Lange, who aliases himself Dr. Leo after Seinfeld, a petty reference to criminal intelligence with Seinfeld himself ashamed of bodega thieves in New York City, responsible, of course, for 9/11. Jews interfering with the process of police enforcement. You'll see me again, Escape from Los Angeles. The old Banshu Tong under Xi Jinping, through London Metro Capital under Mumbai Air Fleet MI6 estates, that being, of course, IRA divided capital out of the Irish Belfast Army of the Harbour for London Metro, the Banshu Tong under High Chairman Deng Xiaoping, President Chairman of China. All we oppose is sudden infant's death syndrome. But you see here, a native. I'm immune to the consideration of homosexuality. I will always breed. I'm an East Connate that can't understand your ways. Too perfect as a warrior. John Carpenter's They Live is lived every day in San Francisco. The misunderstandings of the upper atmosphere, the homosexual, the gray abductee. Studied, of course, by the Air Force, and someday the Amish in Antarctica, the thing, the polling station for the upper ozone, the monsters down deep in the Arctic. Remember you this, John Carpenter doesn't write a lie. Anything you can find by John Carpenter either has happened or will happen. Preferred, since publishing will happen prior to day. Osama bin Laden, you freed New York from crime. The tax burden of New York law firms, barristers upon the banks, and anyone opposing a bank a traitor, a knife cut from a Serb.